Why modern life breaks the mind. Seneca, the great philosopher, knew why. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and realizing that nothing you fear has any real power over you anymore. Not money, not opinions, not loss, not even time itself. And this is exactly the mental freedom Seneca was trying to give to the human soul. Not through abstract philosophy, meant only for scholars, but through brutal honesty, daily practice, and an unflinching look at how weak minds are created by comfort, illusion, and attachment. Seneca did not write philosophy for people sitting in monasteries or academic halls. He wrote for people drowning in pressure, ambition, anxiety, and constant comparison. People who look suspiciously like us today, checking notifications, chasing status, and fearing that they are falling behind in a race that never ends. Seneca's core teaching is simple, but terrifying to the modern ego. You do not suffer because of events. You suffer because you surrender your inner authority to things you do not control. And the moment you reclaim that authority, the world loses its grip on you. He believed that most people are not truly alive. They are distracted, scattered, and owned by external forces, mistaking busyness for purpose and pleasure for happiness. And this is why Seneca repeatedly warned that life is not short. Life is wasted. Think about modern life for a moment. The average person wakes up already exhausted, rushes through the day reacting instead of choosing, numbs themselves at night with entertainment, and repeats the cycle until years disappear. Seneca would say this person was never poor in money, but poor in time, and worse, unaware of it. Seneca teaches that time is the only true currency, and yet it is the only thing people throw away without thought. We guard our money, passwords, and reputations, but we allow hours of our life to be stolen by meaningless arguments, shallow desires, and constant mental noise. His philosophy forces a confrontation with a painful question. If your life were a bank account, who have you allowed to rob it daily? In modern terms, every scroll, every unnecessary meeting, every relationship built on validation, rather than virtue, is a withdrawal from a finite account you will never refill. Seneca is not saying to abandon joy or ambition. He is saying to stop confusing motion with progress. One of Seneca's most misunderstood teachings is his view on wealth. Many assume Stoicism means rejecting money, success, or comfort, but Seneca was wealthy, powerful, and deeply involved in politics. His philosophy was not about poverty, it was about detachment. He taught that wealth is acceptable only if you can lose it without losing yourself. In today's world, this means asking a brutal question. If your identity collapses when your job title disappears, if your confidence evaporates when social approval fades, if your peace depends on income, likes, or lifestyle, then you are not free, you are rented. Seneca practiced voluntary discomfort, intentionally exposing himself to cold, hunger, and simplicity, not to punish himself, but to remind his mind that it does not need luxury to remain unbroken. Translate this to modern life. Taking breaks from digital stimulation, resisting constant consumption, choosing discipline over indulgence, not as self-denial, but as self-mastery. Consider someone today who loses their job unexpectedly. One person collapses mentally, panics, feels worthless, and spirals into fear. Another person feels the fear but remains steady, immediately thinking in terms of action, learning, and rebuilding. Seneca would say the difference is not intelligence or luck, it is philosophical preparation. Stoicism is not a reaction, it is training before the battle arrives. Seneca repeatedly emphasized that suffering is amplified by imagination. We suffer more in anticipation than in reality. How many nights have been lost worrying about conversations that never happened, outcomes that never came, futures that never arrived? Modern anxiety is not caused by reality. It is caused by mental time travel without discipline. Seneca would urge you to return to the present moment, not through shallow positivity, but through rational clarity. What is happening now, and what part of it is actually within your control? Everything else is mental theater. Take modern relationships. People suffer endlessly not because of what their partner does, but because of expectations, projections, and unspoken contracts. Seneca would say, "If you attach your peace to another person's behavior, you have handed them dominion over your mind." This does not mean emotional coldness, it means emotional sovereignty. Love deeply, but never surrender your inner command. Another core Senecan teaching is the danger of comparison. He believed envy was one of the most corrosive poisons of the soul. Today, social media has turned comparison into a full-time occupation. You are no longer competing with your neighbors. You are competing with curated illusions from millions of strangers. Seneca would remind you that no one posts their fear, emptiness, or confusion. Comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel is not just foolish, it is self-sabotage. True success, according to Seneca, is not being admired, it is being unshaken. He also warned against the pursuit of pleasure as a life goal. Pleasure, he argued, weakens the mind when it becomes a necessity rather than an experience. In modern terms, addiction is not just substances, it is comfort, validation, distraction, and ease. A person who cannot endure boredom cannot endure life. A person who cannot sit alone with their thoughts is already enslaved. Seneca believed that adversity is not an enemy, but a test, revealing whether philosophy lives in your words or in your nervous system. Anyone can speak Stoicism when life is smooth. The Stoic is revealed under pressure. Imagine modern examples: criticism online, rejection emails, financial setbacks, betrayal, loneliness. These are not failures, they are mirrors. They show you how dependent your peace is on external approval. Seneca's solution is radical responsibility, not blame, not denial, responsibility. You take ownership of your responses, your habits, your attention, your values. You stop demanding the world adjust to you, and instead, adjust your mind to reality. He believed that the greatest power is not control over others, but command over oneself. In a world obsessed with influence, followers, dominance, and authority, Seneca offers a quieter, more dangerous power, the kind no one can take from you. Seneca also spoke openly about death, not morbidly, but strategically. Remembering death sharpens life. When you remember that everything ends, you stop wasting energy on trivialities. Modern people fear death because they have not truly lived. Ask yourself honestly, if today were your last day, would your worries still matter? Would your arguments still feel important? Would your distractions still be worth your time? Seneca used death not as fear, but as focus. Ultimately, Seneca's philosophy is not about appearing calm. It is about being unbreakable. It is about building a mind that does not beg reality for mercy, because it has already accepted reality as it is. Stoicism is not numbness, it is clarity. It is not suppression, it is strength. And it is not weakness. It is the highest form of freedom available to a human being. If this philosophy resonates with you, if you feel the pull toward inner discipline, mental sovereignty, and timeless wisdom, then you are exactly where you need to be. Subscribe to Stoic Gateway, where ancient wisdom meets modern life, and where minds are forged, not entertained. Stay disciplined, stay unshaken, and walk your path with quiet strength.